If your E90, your BMW 3 Series from 2005 to 2013 is throwing a code for insufficient secondary air, it's probably caused by either the upper hose or the valve itself. Easy to change out. We're going to do that right now. Here it shows that there's an issue with your secondary air system and it's an insufficient airflow, and here it shows the steps to check it, which would be checking the pump, then the upper hose, then the valve. We're going to start by taking off this engine cover. There's two hex head bolts in the front and one at the back. Right now it's easy the way I'm doing it because the lower plastics for my cabin air filter happen to be off right now. You don't need that off. You can get your hand down below and in between the components and get that piece off. First, we're going to remove this valve, and there's a little ring around the connectors. You just squeeze them together and pull it off. Note that the side closer to the engine block, usually that gets brittle from all the heat, and it's going to be really in there, so it's going to take some force to get that out. Before we go any further, we'll test this pump. If you don't have a scanner, I suggest getting one. If you're doing any DIY work, it's worth it. I'll put the link to this one below. It's fairly decent. But here we can activate that pump. We hear it working, and we know that that's not the problem. Inspect the upper hose. Look for any obvious breaks. On this one here, I can see that the heat shield pretty much is worn away, and I can't tell if it's sealing, so I'm just going to replace it. And I'm going to replace the valve. It's cheap enough to do, and it's a quick fix. There's two 10mm bolts holding this to the engine block. You'll have to use an extension and a little universal swivel to get down in there. The back one's a little harder. I found it easy to get that extension through this support brace here and that reservoir. You can get down in there and pull those two bolts off. Use a scraper or a flat screwdriver to get the old gasket on. You don't want to leave that on there. Pull that off and then go ahead and take some brake cleaner, put it on a paper towel or a rag, and just clean that surface off really well. Go ahead and get that new gasket. Be careful not to damage it taking it out of the packaging. Make sure it sits nice and flat against that engine block, and then just thread the new valve right back on onto those two bolts. Now, just to be safe, I'm going to take this bolt, I'm going to put it at the end of a magnet. I'll thread that magnet down and thread it onto that bolt and give the magnet a spin. And not just get it on there, make sure you don't, help you not to drop it. And use your fingers to get it down a little bit before you start using your socket. For the back one, it's a little tricky. You can't get really tools back in there, so you're going to have to use some magic fingers here to hold it, thread it through the components, thread it onto that bolt, and give it a few turns, all without dropping it. But once you do that, you come back with your socket and cinch them both down. What's left? Take your new hose, connect them both to the body of the pump and to the valve. You have to make sure, this is very important, when the hose is brand new, it's going to be really tight, especially on the valve side. You've got to make sure that those connections fully seat. You will hear a loud click to know that they're on there. Now I'm just going to come back here and do a test for myself. The code here is under the DME section, and I'm going to erase that code. And I'm going to start up the car, make sure that secondary air pump kicks on for that first minute or so, and watch to see if the code turns back on. Here I see that it doesn't, so it looks like my repair went well. I like making these videos to show how easy it is to do some of these things at home, and of course to save a ton of money. Everything I use, the parts and the tools, I'll put links below down there. If you use my links, I will earn a whole 17 cents.